before you see the candy paint, before you hear the trunk music, before you even clock the car, you see the wheels. That's not an accident, that's the whole point. In the world of donks, boxes, and bubbles, the wheel isn't a part of the car, the wheel is the statement. And the story of how we got here from a factory rim in Dayton, Ohio, to 30-inch forged aluminum rolling through Miami, Houston, and Atlanta is one of the most American stories ever told. This is the wheel game, and class is in session. Act 1, where it all started, Dayton. Let's go back to 1916, Dayton, Ohio, a city obsessed with engineering. The Wright brothers built their airplane not far from here. Henry Ford was changing the world with the Model T, and a company called Dayton Wire Wheel was about to do something that would echo for over a century. Dayton Wire Wheel was founded on a simple principle borrowed from the bicycle. A tensioned wire spoke could be stronger and lighter than a solid wheel. Ford agreed. The Model T was offered with Dayton Wire Wheels as a factory option. Auburn, Cord, Duesenberg, the most respected cars of the era, all rode on Daytons. Every car that entered the Indianapolis 500 in 1948 ran on Dayton wheels. But here's where the story takes a turn nobody in Dayton saw coming. By the 1970s, a new movement was rising on the West Coast. Lowrider culture in East Los Angeles wanted wheels that looked clean, elegant, sharp. The wire spoke design, with its straight-laced spokes running direct from rim to hub, was exactly that. And Dayton Wire Wheel, a company that had been making industrial-grade automotive wheels for 6 decades, suddenly found itself the most coveted rim in the custom car game. Lowrider magazine spotted Dayton's at an automotive trade show. They approached the company. Then the orders started flooding in from East Los Angeles. 13-inch wheels, 20-inch wheels, gold-plated sets, and wheels painted in specific colors to represent specific neighborhoods. The company's vice president said they really did not have to do anything. They started getting the orders, and the next thing they knew, everybody was killing each other for them. That is not marketing, that is culture doing the work. By the early 1990s, West Coast hip-hop had adopted lowrider culture wholesale, and Dayton wheels rolled right along with it, bossed up. Dr. Dre's Nothing But a G Thing in 1993, one of the most influential music videos ever made, featured Dayton's front and center, Respect. Snoop Dogg referenced them, LL Cool J referenced them. In the culture, Dayton's became simply D's. Owning a clean set of Daytons was not about the rim itself, it was about knowing, about being someone who understood what those wheels meant. That is the foundation. Everything else in the wheel game was built on what Dayton established, the rim as status symbol, the rim as identity. Now fast forward to 2001. MTV Cribs is the most important show in American pop culture. Every athlete, every rapper, every celebrity is opening their front door and showing the world what they have built. In early 2001, NBA guard Latrell Sprewell walked viewers out to his driveway, and the wheels on his car were still spinning. The car had stopped. The rims had not. That was Davin Wheels' product, a spinner hub that allowed the face of the rim to rotate independently of the wheel using sealed roller bearings, so the rim kept spinning even when the car was parked. But when Latrell Sprewell appeared on MTV Cribs, the Davin logo was blurred out and not recognizable. Viewers did not know who made them, they just knew Sprewell had them. The calls started coming in. I want those Sprewell rims. Davin was furious. They had done the engineering, done the manufacturing, done the hustle to get on that show, and Sprewell's name went on the product overnight. Sprewell spinners became a cultural moment. They peaked in the mid-2000s. They appeared in video after video. Rappers, athletes, and anyone who wanted to telegraph that they had arrived put spinners on their car. The visual logic was undeniable. A wheel that kept spinning even when everything stopped was pure weaponized flex. The spinner trend eventually faded, but what it established did not. The idea that your wheels could carry a story, a name, a moment became the DNA of every premium wheel brand that followed. Act 3. The size war, how big rims became the arms race. Here's the thing about status symbols. They inflate. In the early 1990s, a car on 20-inch wheels was extraordinary. By the mid-1990s, 22s had become the standard for showing out. Dubbed deuces, 22-inch rims had their own nickname and their own cultural shorthand. Then came 24s, then 26s, then 28s. Rappers in Southern Florida and South Carolina started what became an arms race. Whoever put the biggest wheel on the most dramatic car won. The Donk scene, built around Chevy Caprices and Impalas from 1971 to 1976, raised high off the ground on suspension lifts, became the proving ground. If you wanted to put 26-inch wheels on a stock car, you needed to lift it. And lifting it meant re-engineering it. The physics of a 30-inch wheel are not forgiving. Here is the technical reality nobody talks about at the car show, but every real builder understands. When you go from a 15-inch factory wheel to a 30-inch custom rim, your braking distance does not double, it compounds. Stock brakes were not engineered for that rotational mass. The heat buildup alone can cause brake fade, where the brakes stop responding mid-stop. High-end builds now run 6 piston calipers and 14-inch rotors just to keep the car safe. Suspension geometry changes completely. Your control arms sit at angles they were never designed for. Without corrected geometry, upgraded chrome moly A-arms, lift spindles, and proper coilovers, the car handles like a boat in a hurricane. The engine and transmission work harder. A 30-inch tire covers significantly more ground per revolution than the factory tire. That effectively changes the gear ratio, making the car feel sluggish. Serious builders swap the rear differential gears, moving from a 3.08 ratio to a 4.10 ratio just to restore the acceleration that the big wheels stole. The point? This is not a modification, this is a re-engineering project. And the brands that understood that, the ones that built wheels strong enough and suspension kits specific enough to handle the physics, those are the brands the culture came to trust. Act 4, the brands who earned the respect. Forgiato. In 1993, two brothers named Norman and A.C. Kellick were running jewelry manufacturing businesses in downtown Los Angeles. They understood materials, they understood craft, they understood what it meant to make something beautiful out of raw metal. They pivoted into used car dealerships. They noticed something, put better wheels on a car, and the car sells for more. The wheel wasn't just a part, it was a transformation. By 1996, Norman was importing and customizing wheels wholesale. By 2002, they launched Da Vinci wheels. And in 2005, they launched Forgiato Designs, their own line for luxury vehicles. Forgiato means forged in Italian. They sold Da Vinci entirely to focus on it. The manufacturing process read like jewelry making, applied to aluminum. Blocks of forged aluminum compressed under extreme pressure, the same principles used to create density in a diamond, then carved, shaped, and finished by hand with techniques borrowed from fine metalworking. Within a year of launching, Forgiato hit $13 million in revenue. The wheels range from $1,300 to $3,000 each, and equipping a single car could cost $12,000 just for the rims. They manufactured 1,200 wheels a month. They sold in 38 shops worldwide, including Los Angeles, Paris, London, Moscow, Tokyo, and Dubai. Norman Chalik put it simply, "We are wherever there are rich people." Forgiato did not stay only in the luxury lane, they understood the culture. They launched Forgiato Fest, a car show and concert hybrid that became one of the most important events in the custom car world. It took place at the Miami Beach Convention Center. 2 Chainz headlined, Currency, Ray Shremmerd, Slim Thug performed. The show was not about selling wheels to Rolls-Royce owners, it was about embedding the brand in the soul of the culture. Every car at the show had to be on Forgiatos. That was not a car show. That was a brand activation dressed as a religion. Forgiato became the name you dropped when you wanted people to know you did not compromise. Rucci Forged. For over 30 years, Rucci has operated as one of America's premier true forged wheel manufacturers. The word forged matters here. This is not casting molten aluminum into a mold. Forging compresses solid aluminum billet under 8,000 to 12,000 tons of pressure while heated to precise temperatures. The result is a wheel with superior grain structure, up to 30% stronger than cast, with better fatigue resistance and impact absorption. Rucci uses aerospace grade 6061T, 6 and 7075 T6 aluminum alloys, the same materials used in aircraft. Rucci's identity is built on customization without compromise. Every wheel is built to exact specification, your bolt pattern, your finish, your size. They make wheels up to 34 inches with custom colors. The brand positions itself with one idea: bold, sharp, classy, and aggressive wheel options, all found under one brand, creating the trend and setting the standard. In Donk culture, Rucci is the wheel you put on a car you are serious about. Not a showpiece, but a statement of engineering commitment. Corleone forged. The name alone tells you everything about the energy. Based out of Fort Worth, Texas. And if you know anything about Texas car culture, you know Fort Worth is not playing around. Corleone built their reputation on going where others would not. Massive diameters, aggressive designs, custom everything. They made headlines pushing 30-inch 3-piece custom wheels onto vehicles that had never seen that size before, including a custom 30-inch build on a 2024 Hummer EV. That is an engineering statement. That is, we do not recognize limits made physical. Corleone's appeal in the culture comes from their Texas roots, the state that arguably takes donk and slab culture more seriously than anywhere on earth, and from their willingness to treat each build as a challenge rather than a catalog order. In the donk community, Corleone wheels signal that the builder has both taste and audacity. Diablo wheels. Gary Jarjarian started Diablo wheels in Southern California in 2000 with one goal: create a brand, not just a product. What separated Diablo from the competition was their design philosophy. While other wheel companies played it safe, copying popular styles and staying within proven aesthetics, Diablo's in-house design team pushed constantly. They were the first wheel company to introduce custom finish accessories and removable inserts, a design innovation that was subsequently copied by nearly every competitor in the market. At their peak, Diablo had sold over 1 million wheels. Their team had been together for 15 years. In 2007, they expanded into a luxury line called Gianna Wheels. They are sold internationally in Europe, Russia, Australia, and Japan. Diablo even maintains dedicated staff for the Japanese market, which speaks to the global reach of the custom car culture they serve. In the donk community, Diablo represents accessible prestige, a brand with legitimacy and history that does not require a six-figure budget to access. Dayton style wheels. This is the grandfather, the one the culture built itself on. In the 2020s, Dayton Wire Wheels legacy lives on in what the culture simply calls Dayton style wheels. The straight-lace wire spoke design with the knockoff hub, clean lines, no frills, the visual language that defined lowrider culture for 40 years before it was absorbed into the donk aesthetic. The Dayton style rim represents purity, history. When a builder puts Dayton style wire wheels on a classic Caprice or Impala, they are not just choosing a wheel, they are choosing a lineage that runs from the Indy 500 in 1948 through the streets of East Los Angeles in the 1980s, through every Dr. Dre video, every hip-hop album cover, every car show trophy since. Some builders mix it, Dayton style on the back, forged billet up front, a conversation between old and new, legacy and ambition. That is the donk culture summed up in 4 wheels. Spruwell style spinners, they're not as dominant as they once were, but they never fully left. The spinning rim, the face that keeps rotating after the car stops, became culturally symbolic in a way no engineer could have predicted. It was not about function, it was about abundance. The idea that you had so much that your car kept showing off even when you were not moving. That level of status theater embedded itself permanently in the DNA of the custom car world. In the current donk scene, spinners tend to appear on statement builds, cars designed specifically to perform at shows, to generate photos and reaction, to be the car everyone stops in front of. Not every build runs spinners, but the builds that do understand what they are communicating, I went all the way. Section 5, the deeper truth, why the wheel matters. Here's what all of this is really about. America has a long history of deciding what success looks like based on what you drive. The luxury car, a status symbol, is as old as the automobile itself. What Donk culture did, what black car culture specifically did, was take that idea, strip it of its country club associations, and rebuild it from the ground up with its own rules, its own brands, its own language. You want to signal that you made it? You do not go buy a foreign. You take a classic American sedan, a car that your father might have driven, or your grandfather, and you transform it into something that stops traffic. You lift it higher than anyone thought was possible. You paint it a color that cannot make up its mind, and that is the point. And you put wheels on it that cost more than most people's car payments. That is not recklessness. That is artistry. That is craft. That is a community saying we have the skill, the vision, and the resources to build something that cannot be ignored. Every inch of wheel diameter is a statement. Every spoke, every forged lip, every chrome knockoff is a decision made by a builder who understands exactly what they are communicating to everyone who sees the car roll past. The wheel game is the Donk culture's most honest language, and now you speak it. Next episode, we're going deeper into the culture following the music that built these streets and the cars that traveled them. Until then, if you learned something today, hit subscribe.